Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, a Washington congresswoman has a brilliant idea. Let's build a high-speed rail to California. Because that hasn't been tried and failed horribly. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
Katie Wilson keeps saying, Seattle is ready for the World Cup. I was driving through downtown Seattle today. It's immaculate. It is gorgeous. It is cleaned up. The problem was I had to go through the rest of Seattle to get to downtown Seattle. So the area around the stadiums, lovely, magnificent. I'm going to the Mets game tonight, playing the Mariners. They lost last night, but we're hoping for a comeback tonight. If you're watching over on the live stream, you can see how goofily I'm dressed in all my Mets gear. Hey, guys, I don't get to wear it very often, okay? But I'm looking forward to going down there and seeing what the stadium area looks like, because when I drove past it today, immaculate, gorgeous. I was actually talking to my sister-in-law as I was driving down 4th Avenue today, and I said, my God, it looks like when I first moved here 22 years ago. Immaculate, gorgeous. But the amount of homeless encampments I had to pass to get here, the amount of squalor I had to pass to get here, it's like it's all been shoved out to other parts of Seattle. And I am more convinced that what's going to happen is, God forbid, there's going to be some horrible tragedy in the suburbs, shootings, crime. And because of the World Cup, you're not going to hear about it. You're not going to know about it. And you're going to think everything is perfectly fine. You want to know how I know everything isn't perfectly fine? Places that are perfectly fine, you do not have massive issues with regards to drive-by shootings that now the Seattle City Council has to talk about putting in traffic calming measures. Yes, traffic calming measures, like you're at a spa. We're going to put in traffic calming measures. We'll give your car a little massage. It'll feel perfectly fine. Maybe a facial after that. That'll calm the traffic. That'll calm down the drug dealers, won't it? According to KUOW, next month, the Seattle City Council will take up legislation to make street closures an official tool to prevent gun violence. So, not arresting the criminals, but we're going to put in traffic calming measures to address crime. If this sounds familiar, this is the same stupidity they did up in North Seattle when the residents up there installed their own barricades to stop the cars from speeding down their blocks, shooting at each other because you have a pimp war, because you have a gang war, and because a baby had a bullet go through the wall right near their head and almost died, a newborn baby. You know what I find interesting is that the city of Seattle, as soon as they heard residents in North Seattle put up their own barriers and barricades to keep out drug dealers and keep out warring pimps and gang violence, that's when they sent out the Seattle Department of Transportation to get rid of the barriers. They didn't send out the cops. They sent out the Seattle Department of Transportation. Do you remember when armed terrorists took control of 6 blocks of Seattle during the Summer of Love in 2020? The Seattle Department of Transportation was sent in again. But that time they were sent in to provide barricades for the armed terrorists, for the BLM and Antifa activists. They spent over $1 million of your taxpayer money reinforcing the barriers around Cal Anderson Park, so that the warlord of the autonomous zone can be in charge of his little fiefdom. But the second a few residents put up their own barricades up in North Seattle to stop crime, no. Can't have that. Can't have that. We got to support them drug dealers. Hey, I got a question. How come you're not actually arresting people? Where's a lot of this violence coming from? It's coming from prostitution. It's coming from the fact that the Seattle City Council basically said, you want to do prostitution? Go ahead and do prostitution wherever you want. So that's going to bring out everything that goes with it, the pimp violence, the drug violence, the gang violence, everything that accompanies that. So now, because of the Seattle City Council stupidity, Now you have this war in North Seattle. Areas, cities that are ready for the World Cup do not have pimp wars that are making the headlines every day and don't have to discuss traffic calming measures in order to stop crime. This is like when Portland said they want to stop their drive-by shooting, so they put in speed bumps. I don't know about you. I do that move now with the speed bumps that have been installing all over Seattle. I do the half thing with my car. I got one wheel that goes up on the speed bump. I got the other one flat. Go right over that sucker. Or depending if it's my Charger, I can actually straddle the speed bumps because I got the wide body edition. That works out great. If you got an SUV, you're like, woohoo! If you got a truck, woohoo! Let's just go right over that thing. Yeah, you think that the drug dealers care about your speed bumps or your traffic calming measures? Here's another one. It's even crazier. Cities that are ready for the World Cup don't have massive issues with homelessness. So, 2 Seattle Police Department officers and a Seattle Department of Transportation worker were assaulted along the Alaskan Way South bike trail on Monday morning. Now, why do you think this is making news? Because it happened on the bike lane. If it hadn't happened on the bike lane, nobody would care. Around 11 a.m., a suspect began hurling rocks at a city worker on the trail. Sure would be happy that they're not hauling rocks at cars on the freeways. I didn't know it was rock throwing season. Woo! Came a little early this year. It's not even really summer yet. I didn't know it was rock throwing season. This is great. This is terrible. So, a suspect began hurling rocks at a city worker on a trail. So immediately, what do I think? I think, well, it's one of two things. It's either somebody from Gaza or it's one of our unsheltered neighbors. Well, it's one of our unsheltered neighbors. Throwing large rocks at a city worker. The suspect also reportedly smashed out the front and back windows of the city work truck. Isn't this great? Police described the suspect as, quote unquote, unhoused. Officers tracked him to a tent inside a larger homeless encampment near the scene. Mm-hmm. A 38-year-old male officer was transported to the hospital with an injured hand. A 40-year-old female officer was evaluated at the scene but not taken to the hospital. 35-year-old SDOT worker was also taken to the hospital with injuries described as minor. The suspect was arrested on suspicion of second-degree assault, felony harassment, second-degree malicious mischief, 2 counts of third-degree assault on a police officer. Now, my guess is the following is going to happen when this person's actually charged. They're released right away because, after all, it's Seattle. Because, after all, it's King County. Because they assaulted a police officer. So here in Seattle, with the left insane judges that we have, you're a hero. So, but you assaulted an SDOT worker who was cleaning up a bike trail. Do those two cancel each other out? I don't know. They're cleaning up the bike lane, but they hate the police officers. Oh, I don't... All right, we'll do-over. We'll just release you. It's a do-over. Because if it was just the bike lane, give him the chair. Give him life in prison. He was messing with an SDOT worker who was cleaning up a bike lane. Throw the switch. Don't save any power. Just let him ride the lightning for messing with an SDOT worker who's creating a bike trail. Let's do that. Maybe there's a solution for these. Well, what's Seattle Socialist Mayor Katie Wilson's solution for this? Seattle, to shove all the homeless people out of the way before the World Cup, says, let's build a whole bunch of those tiny home villages because those worked out so well. Like the one our friend Andrea Suarez exposed, which has a certain tiny home, is designated as where they do the drugs. It's like a giant gas chamber. And when I asked the Low-Income Housing Institute about it, I said, wait, I thought you were trying to get people out of homelessness. I thought you were trying to get people off drugs. You have a designated shack for drug use? And they said, well, yeah, but they're supervised. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I'm sure everything's going to work out okay that way. So city employees are now sitting there, watch you kill yourself. Great. Brilliant. So now you've got the Bayview Pallet Shelter Village, located near 15th and Armory Way. And they're just moving all the people in there who were displaced by the World Cup, according to our friend Andrea Suarez. It's just, how quickly can we shove all the people in there so nobody sees this for the World Cup? That's what it is. because you're going to have all the news people who just go from their hotel, and maybe they go to the stadiums, and maybe they go to the waterfront, but that's all they're going to see. They're not going to see all the riffraff. So they shoved all these people into the shelter village. Low barrier shelter village. You know what low barrier means? You want to bring your dogs? Bring your dogs. You want to bring your drugs? Bring your drugs. You want to bring your guns? Bring your guns. You want to come in with felony arrest record? No problem. You want to come in with outstanding warrants? No problem. We will bring you in. But there's a few little problems with this place. Number one, it's right near us. And I don't know if Kevin noticed this yesterday. Kevin, we were talking about those tents that are usually on the way to Seattle Center, that are usually over there on the grassy area. And I said I didn't see them. Well, it turns out they're the ones that moved under our parking lot. It's those tents. Did you notice this yesterday? The tents that are on that green space that go to the, usually you see them on the way to the Space Needle. There's usually the one green tent.
The one that I was talking about. Yeah. The whole strip.
The one you talked about yesterday. They're gone. You know where they are? They're the ones behind the parking lot.
No.
Yeah, I drove the block this morning. They're all gone going to the Space Needle because Ari Hoffman took a picture of it that went viral because I had that picture of the Space Needle and I had the tents right there in front of it. And I wrote, Seattle's ready for the World Cup. Now, okay, Hoffman takes one picture that goes a little viral. I'm thinking too much of myself that they cleared it because of me. I posted a video the other day of under the freeway where all those tents were, right? Hoffman's on his way home. Probably shouldn't be using his phone while he's driving, but he takes a whole video of all the tents under the thing. And I go, oh, here's where they're sticking them for the World Cup. Guess what's gone now? Guess what's gone? They're all gone.
You got to test this more. Let's figure out something even more like
here's what
benign or something.
Here's what I did today. I put up a whole bunch of RVs that have been pushed out to Georgetown. I want to see where the limit goes. Right? Where's the sphere of influence, you might say, of where they will push these things out or keep these things in. So this is my test today. There's one that's getting a lot of traction on social media of all these RVs that got shoved out to Georgetown, but they don't care about Georgetown, right? They care about the picture that Hoffman took with the Space Needle, and then you have the giant homeless encampment in front of the Space Needle. That's what they care about. Anywho.
I'm going to have to take a walk up there and see.
You want to go check it out?
Yeah.
Now you're kind of curious.
Yeah, I am. Because I don't drive past that way. So unless I'm like going up there for a specific reason, I don't get to see that strip that often.
I'm going that way today because I got to go to the Mariners game as soon as the show's over to watch my Mets get killed by the Mariners. I got to do that today. So I'll check it out for you. You don't have to spend your effort doing that.
Send me a pic.
Yes, while I'm driving at 90 miles an hour, very, very safely, I will pull out my cell phone and get some quick video and pictures of that. If I ever get in some horrible accident, God forbid, they're just going to pull up clips of the show, and they're just going to be playing go. It's his fault.
Yeah,
he talks about how he drives.
He talks about it all the time. It finally happened.
Oh, God forbid. This is bad news. Okay, this is all usable. What was that magnet I got from the Mob Museum in Las Vegas? Don't say anything you don't want played back to you, John Gotti. Yes. Okay, good. That's something to think about.
You have thousands and thousands and thousands of hours out there, my friend.
This profession was not well thought out for me. A guy who has no filter whatsoever. So now you're putting this brand new low barrier shelter tiny home business with all the drugs, with all the violence, with all the warrants. I got a panicked email today from somebody who said there's a daycare next to that place. There's a daycare with over 100 preschool students enrolled in it, right next to where they plopped down this new tiny home, pallet home. They're calling them pallet homes because it doesn't sound as bad as tiny homes. They're changing the names of them. Now they're pallet homes. For me, pallet homes sounds like a bunch of homeless people took some pallets that were holding Coca-Cola from the grocery store that they found in the back and then stacked them up together to build a little hut. That's what it sounds like to me, like how the people are living under the streets in Demolition Man. That's what that sounds like to me. So now the pallet home village, that's way, way better. It's next to a preschool. Oh, that can't be so bad. Oh, wait, there's a liquor store right across the street. Mm-hmm. And there's a Whole Foods around the corner. That's one of the high-end grocery stores. So you put the homeless village next to the preschool, across the street from the liquor store, around the corner from the Whole Foods. So how long until Whole Foods closes that location? How long do you figure till that preschool has to move or hire security guards? What's going to be the next story? Homeless guy wanders into preschool. We know that's what we're going to hear. I emailed the Seattle City Council and the Seattle Mayor's office, and I said, anybody want to comment on who chose this dumb location for this? Did you give any thought to this whatsoever? No, Katie Wilson's just doing the Gavin Newsom. Katie Wilson is doing exactly what Gavin Newsom did when China came to town. Clean out the streets, make everything clean for the World Cup, and as soon as the World Cup's over, everything comes racing back. How do you think Katie Wilson feels that she realizes she's Bruce Harrell? You remember the former mayor of Seattle, Bruce Harrell? This was his thing. Just whack-a-mole with the homeless people. Just move them along, and just bounce them from location to location. She said she was going to end the sweeps. She is the queen of sweeps. She's doing it more than anybody else, than any mayor before her. I say stop funding these insane wastes of money, and maybe you won't have these problems anymore. But Katie Wilson, literally bumping them, along, whack-a-mole, until the World Cup. Because once the World Cup is over, then she's telling her activist buddies, I guarantee you this is what she's doing. She's telling her activist buddies, just give me till after the World Cup. After the World Cup, we don't have to sweep anybody. We don't have to clean anything up. Nobody's going to say anything. Nobody's going to be here. There are representatives from the Trump administration coming to town for the World Cup. They know this. And they know they're a national laughingstock. And Katie Wilson is thinking, I just need one good news cycle. Just one good news cycle. I could put all this other stuff behind me. She's having an event tomorrow night at, what's that? City Club. That's where the fancy people go for political events. I don't even get invited to the City Club. But she's going to go there. I wonder if there's going to be video of the event. I can't wait for her next gaffe. Or are they going to be nice and not ask her about her gaffapalooza we've had? No, Seattle's not ready for the World Cup. They keep saying it's ready for the World Cup. It is not. It is not. John in Lakewood says over on the KVI studio line, Ari, for World Cup fans and attendees, we need those remote cameras sending images of homeless dumping grounds in the Seattle hinterlands to large screens posted outside Lumen Field entrances. No, John, no. We need what California has. We need the live stream cameras of Skid Row. What Spencer Pratt noticed the other day, that they were covering over a dead body with a sheet. He called it Karen Bass's reality show. More like a horror show. That's what it is. Forrest Cat says the cure for the tents and parks are on sidewalks. Is Alaska fish fertilizer, otherwise known as fish guts, sprayed in the hot sun, stinks so bad even the druggies will flee? Okay, I got a different idea for you. This was something that has been tried by some people who I heard about one time. You take nuts and you throw them near the RVs and then the birds swoop down and they poop everywhere, and that might do it too. But can you really tell the difference between those two? That's Do you think Seattle is ready for the World Cup? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, my friends, a murderer gets off scot-free here in Seattle because they're claiming he's insane. What's the difference between him and every other offender? We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show.
Give me a
I'm going to tell you a little story about a criminal who just got no jail time. No jail time? No jail time. He got no jail time at all, and instead is going to a mental hospital. Now, I'm going to read the court documents to you and how the mainstream media reported this. And I want you to think to yourself, we're going to play a little game here. What's missing from the entire story? And then you're going to see how the mainstream media covered this and why they covered it the way they covered it. Because otherwise, this just sounds like normal crime. Give a listen. A King County man charged with stabbing a stranger to death in downtown Seattle in 2023 was found not guilty by reason of insanity last week, according to Como News. He'll be sent to a state psychiatric hospital instead of trial. Prosecutors and defense attorneys jointly asked the judge to accept the insanity plea for Sana Cisse, 29, in the killing of Fontaine Jackson, acquit him on first-degree murder charge, and commit him to the custody of the State Department of Social and Health Services for treatment, because we know that the DSHS is just top-notch institution, top-notch. How much fraud did we find with those guys? I can't remember how many billions of dollars we found. Oh, I'm sorry. It was inauditable funds. That's what it was. It wasn't actually fraud. Right. How many other problems did we have with these guys, with crazy people and awful drug addicts and whatever? You know what I'm talking about. The agreement was outlined in a memorandum filed May 14th by the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Prosecutors said Cisse stabbed Jackson multiple times on July 4th, 2023. Court documents state there was no evidence the men knew each other before the night. Witnesses told investigators that Cisse chased Jackson with a large knife, continued stabbing him after he fell to the ground. One witness recalled Jackson yelling, "Why are you doing this? I don't even know you." After the attack, prosecutors said Cisse walked away from the scene, carrying his belongings before being arrested. Carrying his belongings. I assume they don't mean a backpack or a skateboard or something. I assume they mean a giant shopping cart filled with garbage, right? The filing has concerns that Cisse's mental health emerged early in the case. Well, a normal person doesn't stab another person to death. Defense attorneys raised competency issues several months after his arraignment, and the court ordered multiple competency restoration periods before finding him competent to stand trial. Psychologist who evaluated him diagnosed him with schizophrenia, spectrum disorders, substance abuse. He's got the shopping cart. Of course he's got substance abuse disorders. Do you think maybe the substance abuse disorders caused the schizophrenia? Just put that out there. For the drug addict has mental health problems? And post-traumatic stress disorder. You mean from living on the streets and doing drugs? Evaluators also documented paranoid delusions, auditory hallucinations. It's a hell of a drug. And beliefs that people were trying to, he's paranoid from taking the drugs. 3 mental health experts, 2 retained by the defense, one who evaluated Cisse for the state, concluded he was psychotic at the time of the killing and unable to distinguish right from wrong because of mental illness, otherwise known as drug abuse. One evaluator wrote that Cisse believed he was acting under command hallucinations, telling him to kill Jackson or be killed himself. The evaluator concluded that although Cisse understood the nature of his actions, he lacked the capacity to distinguish right from wrong. Cisse had been arrested 28 times prior to the killing, mostly for assaults and harassment. Before the stabbing, his most recent run-in with the law was felony harassment and assault for a case in 2022 near 3rd and Pine Streets, where he told the victim he would kill him and then repeatedly hit the victim in the head with a rubber mallet over a disagreement over the price of a pack of cigarettes he wanted to buy from the victim. Buying cigarettes at 3rd and Pike. I assume he's not buying them from the McDonald's. I assume he's buying them from the street, and it's one homeless guy in a fight with another homeless guy. That's what's going on here. So he's been acquitted of murder by reason of insanity and committed to a state mental hospital for treatment rather than being sentenced to prison. Well, aside from the fact that he's a prolific offender, why do you think this guy isn't going to jail? Do you have a guess? Oh, he's an African, quote-unquote, refugee. An African refugee who came here during the Biden administration. Wow, he did a lot of work in just those few short years. Wait a second. Como called him a King County man. King 5 called him a King County man. He's a Gambian refugee. Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't come here during the Biden administration. He came here during the Clinton years. Much, much better. Got hooked on drugs while coming to the U.S. Yes, we are definitely bringing our best and brightest here. This is great. Just fantastic. This is who we're bringing into the country. And this is who got arrested 28 times and then released every single time because of the color of his skin, because of his refugee status, because he's just a poor, misunderstood drug addict. And now a person is dead. Another person of color, by the way, killed. You don't hear the media talking about that at all. Now this guy is dead, who didn't even know this dude. And this guy is now living on your taxpayer funds for the rest of his life in a mental institution. Bravo, everybody, bravo. This is where your revolving door justice policies get you. Oh, you want another example of how bad this is? I will tell you. A Seattle man who brutally stabbed 2 victims more than 150 times inside a South Seattle apartment less than 48 hours after being released from jail. Less than 48 hours after being released from jail. Another prolific offender. At least this guy was sentenced to 54 years in jail. At least. John Marcel Williams, 45, was convicted by a King County jury in March on 2 counts. Oh, so if you're an American, then you get the book thrown at you. But if you're a refugee, then no problem. You get to hang out in the taxpayer-funded resort for the rest of your life until they decide to release you, right? That's it. Speaking of huge wastes of taxpayer money, when we come back, one of our Washington congresswomen thinks it's a really good idea to build a high-speed rail to California using your tax money. I think I've heard this idea somewhere before. It didn't work out too well. We'll give you all the insane details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. starting the swamp with some good news today. The White House Correspondents Association rescheduled the Correspondents' Dinner for July 24th after the Trump assassination attempt. So it's good they're going to be rescheduling that thing, but you realize that's in the middle of Hampton season, right? That's when all the New York reporters head on out to the Hamptons and they hang out there all summer and they come up with what they're going to talk about and they bash Republicans. It's that season. Are they going to come back for this? I think they're going to come back for this. I mean, the last one was a bang. Oh, sorry. I'm just kidding. No, it's really good that they're rescheduling that thing as opposed to canceling it. Hey, we pushed this thing off long enough, soon they'll be able to have it in the new White House ballroom. Speaking of things that are going to be delayed, we're talking here about Representative Susan DelBene, our very own Congresswoman from Washington, is backing a massive new federal high-speed rail initiative. Why are these guys so obsessed with high-speed rail? I mean, did they just really, really like Thomas the Tank Engine when they were kids? And they said, I just want to play with real-life choo-choo trains. I want to build these big trains. I really don't understand. I mean, you just shut down the one in California for being a massive boondoggle. Now you want to do this again? And I got a question. Is Amtrak ridership up, by the way? If Amtrak ridership is up and planes are down, then I'm on your side. Let's do this. But last time I checked, less and less people were riding the rails, except for maybe some hobos. In fact, I don't even think hobos are riding the rails anymore. I see those trains go by all the time in Georgetown. I never see anybody on them, ever. So I think people taking the trains is going way, way down. This high-speed rail business. So you want to blow more money on this? DelBene joined Representative Seth Moulton from Massachusetts in introducing the American High-Speed Rail Act, legislation that would expand federal investment in passenger rail nationwide and lay the groundwork for new high-speed rail corridors across the country. Oh. I see what's happening here. This isn't actually to get the high-speed rail. This is you attaching something to it like our friends over at Sound Transit by saying, oh, they're going to attach the planning for the high-speed rail. We're gonna put that in there. You want the high-speed rail? You got to vote for my other train package. We're going to promise you something we can't deliver in. She said the proposal could eventually benefit the Pacific Northwest by connecting major population centers from Vancouver, British Columbia to Portland, Oregon. So you want to do the same dumb thing they were going to do in California? And they blew how many hundreds of billions of dollars and got nothing built? Not one thing. In fact, I think the feds finally shut down that project until some Democrat comes along and decides to continue funding it. I really want to know, when you didn't put a single nail in the ground, when you didn't put a single spur of a rail line together, where did the hundreds of billions of dollars go? That's a question. That's a question we should all be asking. I mean, this year, the Trump administration terminated roughly $4 billion in federal grants previously awarded under the Obama and Biden administrations. California recently dropped its lawsuit challenging that decision because there's no way to defend it. What happened to all the money? Maybe you don't want anybody finding out what happened to all the money, so, just drop it. Just drop it. At the time, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy celebrated the outcome. Quote, under POTUS's leadership, we are protecting billions of American taxpayer dollars from funding California's ridiculous train to nowhere. Congressional Republicans have repeatedly pointed to California's project as evidence of government mismanagement. In December, the Senate Commerce Committee release titled, After 25 Years and Billions in Federal Subsidies, Not a Single Train Operating in California. Well done. Well done. So now we're going to do the same thing here. That'll be great. I assume Seattle will be ground zero for it, right? Oh, maybe we have to start digging new tunnels for it. Maybe we should do that. Yeah, let's go through Pioneer Square area again because the last tunnel was just so easy to do. Let's do that. I know. Why don't we do high-speed buses? Why don't we get dedicated bus lane? Oh, no more dedicated bus lanes. That's bad news for everybody. Really? We're just going to keep doing this? Are you crazy? Now, they're arguing we want to be more like Europe. I don't want to be more like Europe, and I certainly don't want to be more like Canada. Wait a minute. I'm not thinking about this right. We could put all the homeless people on the high-speed rail up to Vancouver. They'll be happy to have them. Oh, wait, we're not actually going to put them on the trains. But I was thinking that might be a way to solve this. Put all the homeless people, send them to Vancouver. And by the way, a high-speed rail going to Vancouver, it's a nice drive. I used to do it all the time. What, 2.5 hours? 3? If you're at the border, big deal. We really need to spend hundreds of billions of dollars for that? Okay, don't go across the border on Memorial Day weekend or something, and you won't have long wait times. Or you know what? Stop in the duty-free at the Peace Arch. Go buy some scotch, some perfume, some nice purses or something, some watches. Get yourself some Toblerones, and you'll be happy. That's it. That's what you have to do. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from John in Redmond. John, what's going on, man?
Ari, is it bad form to announce on the radio the names of these judges that release people willy-nilly?
You know, it's not that it's bad form. I'm going to tell you the problem. And part of this is on me, and part of this is on a lot of other stuff, okay? You don't always have their names, and then you got to go digging for their names, and they make it very hard to find their names. It is not the easiest thing to do. Now, the problem is that some of these judges are notorious, and they like being notorious, so they make sure everybody knows it's them. If you notice on the show, when we have a judge's name, we mention their name. We always do. But unfortunately, a lot of times we don't. And how many people, I couldn't believe this. I was at a Republican fundraiser last Thursday night. I'm at a fundraiser and I'm talking about all this stuff, and people had no idea that 5 of the Supreme Court seats in Washington Supreme Court are up for election. And this is a room filled with Republicans who care about this stuff, who are trying to repeal the income tax. They knew about repealing the income tax. They knew about Let's Go Washington. They knew about keeping boys out of girls' bathrooms. They knew about parental rights. They had no idea that there are 5 judges up for election.
Amazing.
See, this just shows people have to listen to the Ari Hoffman Show more often. But I'll tell you what, John, it's a good reminder for me. I will try as often as I possibly can to mention the judges' names more often, okay?
Thank you, Ari.
Yep, my pleasure. Thanks for the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, my friends, the Jewish Democrats put out a post that's not Jewish at all, claiming they represent Jewish values. Watch me decimate this when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. All right, I'm dying today. Let me give you a little peek behind the curtain of how the show works. So basically what happens is I have this massive spreadsheet with all my sources and the clips that I sent Kevin to rip for audio. I don't think I get to about a third of the stuff that's on that spreadsheet in any given day. There's so much material on it, so many sources. But the story I was planning on doing got deleted. Got deleted because it was a post that got ratioed so bad on social media. They had to take it down. So in between the break, I go to my little source sheet. I pull up my link. I put it right into my browser. Gone. Erased from existence. So what was this? The Jewish Democratic Council of America. Jewish Democratic Council of America, who I am not familiar with this organization, and I consider myself pretty well versed in the Jewish stuff, put up a post for Pride yesterday. And it says, pride is a Jewish value. But the pride has the pride flag with the trans flag with the whole everything. Now, before I saw this post, because by the time I saw it, hundreds of comments, hundreds of retweets, thousands of retweets. Before I saw this thing, so many people did the job for me already. Jews, non-Jews alike. So, number one, can we get a little biblical here? Can we do a little source material? Last time I checked in Sefer Vayikra, otherwise known as Leviticus, it says, a man shall not lie with another man because it's an abomination. That's the Old Testament. That's the Torah. That's the Bible. So if you want to go that route with it, you're welcome to, but don't claim it's a Jewish value because it just ain't. Last time I checked, it's not many religions' values. Is that at all? In addition to that, pride itself, gaiva as it's called, haughtiness, having an ego is not a Jewish value. That's discussed at length by our commentators. In addition to that, a person who removed parts of their anatomy, whether willingly or unwillingly, is not allowed to go to the temple. So this entire post is completely wrong. Now, mind you, Judaism does have another idea that whatever you do is between you and God. So let's say somebody who's gay comes into my synagogue, which has happened before. We don't go, you shall be gone from our chambers. That's not what happens. That's between them and God. That's how that goes. That is how we treat all these kind of stuff. Look, if somebody doesn't keep kosher, we don't go, treif right there, galat treif, not kosher. Get out of our synagogue. No, we don't do that, guys. So it's between you and God, right? Kevin, from time to time, tries to tempt me with the non-kosher food around here. He tries. He's my little evil influence right there. He does that sometimes. I
do, man. I just, I don't want you to miss out on something. I know you got your belief system. Everyone's got their belief systems, but, if we're only on this big orb one time around,
I don't think I'm missing out on the taco time. There's some
you're
other
missing
things.
out, buddy.
Oh, you think I'm missing out?
No, I'll tell you, to be honest with you. The only way you really like taco time is if you grew up in the Northwest and you've been eating it your entire life.
I see.
Anyone else who comes out of here, like from anywhere else, and you're like, oh, you got to try. I don't even do this anymore.
Yeah.
Because people will come, like, people tell me I have to try taco time. I'm like, here, try it, but lower your expectations, So, but, there's certain things that I think you should, try.
Yeah, Hoffman, just go to the Washington State Fair and be like the rat in Charlotte's Web. Smorgasbord.
Yeah. Could you get like one day where you could just, get a dispensation or something like that?
We'll start selling indulgences. That's what we're going to do in Judaism. We're going to start selling indulgences so Hoffman can have a Big Mac. So Hoffman can go get something at the Washington State Fair on that massive grill that looks amazing every time I'm there. If I had my one day, Washington State Fair, that is where I would use it.
barbecued baby back ribs, man.
I can have
They're
ribs.
So tender.
I can have
I said
ribs.
baby back.
Oh, does that come from the piggy?
That comes
I
from
didn't
the
know
piggy.
that because we have baby back ribs, but I assume they don't come from the piggy, right?
Wow, yeah.
They come from somewhere else. I
Real
understand.
tender, man. So good.
See, he's
Fall
doing
right
it.
off the
You're
bone.
all
Fall
hearing
right
this,
off the
right?
bone.
This is what I got to deal with every day. I'm getting God brownie points because Satan himself has been sent to run my show.
Bro Devil Show. But anyways, you were saying the synagogue. They don't think that way.
Yeah. We don't think that way. But anyway, so I go to pull up the source. It's gone. Completely gone. Because they got hit so badly about this because even the Christian friends are going, I've read that Old Testament book, know it pretty well. And yeah, that's not a Jewish value. So they've now deleted this thing. I got to tell you, the amount of dumb pride posts I have seen this time around, I've been invited to more flag raising ceremonies than ever before. Why am I getting the invitations for all these? I mean, I'm flattered you thought of me, but here's something else. I didn't get invitations to flag lowerings for Memorial Day. I didn't get invitations for flag raisings for Flag Day. I haven't gotten any invitations for anything like for Veterans Day. Nothing. 9/11. Nothing. Why does this month of celebration merit more than any other? When we come back, my friends, another massive company is spending a whole lot more money outside of Washington. Are they leaving as well? We'll give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, the return of Friendly Face-Off with our friend Batya Unger Sargon from News Nation. Also, we'll check in on what's going on with the primaries in Los Angeles. But before we get to any of that, my friends, we have a chance for you to win fantabulous prizes. Today, we are giving away two tickets to see Colin Cloud Mastermind at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. For over 20 years, Colin Cloud has been entertaining and astounding audiences on the biggest TV shows and stages around the world. He'll know what you had for lunch, where you've been today, what you do for a living, your pet's names, even your PIN code. Described by the media as the real-life Sherlock Holmes. He's enjoyed sold-out runs on London's West End Broadway and the Las Vegas Strip, where he's now a headliner on his own show in Harrah's Hotel and Casino. All you have to do in order to buy these tickets is head on over to snowtickets.com. That's SNO tickets.com. But if you want to find that extra W for the winning of the tickets, text the word wand, as in magic wand, as in wave that wand, W-A-N-D. Text the word to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. And you will be entered for the chance to win. I love the random things that people start texting about on the show. We talked about high-speed rail. We talked about cleaning up Seattle. What do they want to talk about on the text line, Kevin? Taco time. That is what they want to talk about on the text line. Dave says, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest and always thought of taco time as the expensive Taco Bell. Does that track, Kevin? Is that what it's just a higher end Taco Bell kind of deal?
Very much so.
Okay, all right.
Especially back in the day, before Taco Bell got all crazy with like Mexican pizzas and quesadillas and crunch wraps and all that stuff. It used to be just like burritos, tacos, Tostitos, that sort of thing. And so, yeah, when I was a kid, like in the 80s, it was like, if you were rich, you could go to Taco Time. If you're not, it's $59.79.99 at Taco Bell.
I gotcha. See, I like a burrito. I do like a burrito. I do not like a taco because it's a pain in the you-know-what to eat.
Yeah, if you're driving, you get a crunchy taco. It really is a pain to eat. But that's the thing. The Taco Time's got the soft taco that's wrapped like a burrito.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, this is why I kind of like the shawarma stuff, right? Because shawarma's just a bigger burrito with more dead cow and stuff in it. I mean, I'm not the biggest shawarma fan. I actually like the one they do with chicken instead. That's more my speed. I like it better. And people go, are you crazy? I'm like, you put a few pieces of steak in there. Now we're talking. I do like a meat shawarma, but that's not technically shawarma because shawarma's not that. But whatever. Delicious. Delicious. I think others call it a gyro or something, right? Is that the word for it?
Gyro, yeah.
It's pronounced gyro?
It's spelled gyro, G-Y-R-O, I think is what it is, but it's gyro.
Euro?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Gyro or euro?
My whole world is shattered right now. I didn't even know that. Okay, this one here from John in Auburn. Kevin. Amen to Taco Time. It is way better back in the late 80s and early 90s. That's what John says. Has it dropped off a little bit?
Yeah, I would agree with him. I think it has dropped a little bit. It's dropped off a little bit.
Given the amount of time we spend talking about this, I think we should have the Ari Hoffman Show sponsored by Taco Time.
I would love it. They used to come in every now and then when they would, back in the day here at KVI, when they'd debut something new, they would come in and test it out on us and we'd talk about it on air. So... Because, they're a Northwest institution here.
So let's do that. I mean, I can't do that, but I'll watch all you guys and live vicariously through you.
Come on, man. That's what I'm saying.
All righty. Moving on a little bit here. So, Vice President J.D. Vance last week invited attorneys general. I was told that's actually the way you pronounce it, not attorney generals. It's attorneys general from across the U.S. to participate in a roundtable of fraud. Here's a little montage of what happened during that.
Thanks to all of you for being here. Very gratified and proud of the fact that we have 15 different state AG offices represented here today who are focused on helping us in combating fraud.
It was an honor to meet with Vice President Vance to talk about opportunities we have to partner to address public corruption.
This was actual real conversation, real sharing of ideas between state attorneys general who right now are the principal prosecutors of welfare fraud in America.
We're going to work together, state and federal government, to try to combat fraud.
The answer to so much of the fraud that we have in the country and in these areas is getting access to the information and working with our federal partners to connect the dots.
We're getting cooperation on investigations, we're getting cooperations on analytics, we're getting cooperations on prosecutions, and we're able to claw these taxpayer dollars back.
Because of the Vice President's leadership, you are seeing the most muscular, robust, aggressive, dedicated, determined, and speedy effort to shut down criminal fraud that has not only ever occurred in the history of this country, but in any developed nation.
When President Trump announced his task force 50 days ago, we immediately reached out to OIG, our Western District of Oklahoma Attorney General, and the FBI. And we launched Operation Sooner Shield 25 days ago, resulting in a dragnet arrest of 15 fraudsters, fraud providers in 4 different states.
We must restore deterrence by finding, prosecuting, and punishing fraudsters.
The fraud problem is national, and our state partnerships are critical to solving the fraud crisis in our country.
As we're all working together, we're making a very positive impact, bringing information together, data mining.
This was a meaningful meeting. I really appreciate the White House convening this and look forward to the work ahead.
Thank you, President Trump, for having the guts to lead and to give us the resources and the partnership to put bad people behind bars.
I have a point of order. Did anybody hear Nick Brown's voice anywhere there? Because they interviewed all the attorneys general who were there. Anybody hear Nick Brown's voice? In fact, you didn't hear most of the Democrats. This should be bipartisan, don't you think? Should it be rooting out fraud is bipartisan? We're not talking about how you allocate funds. You want to fund trans surgeries? Okay, I'm not fine with that, but that's your prerogative. We're talking about people who are literally stealing money from the government and traveling on it and vacationing on it. That's what we're talking about here. And yet, I don't see anybody doing anything about that at all. This isn't just a Republican issue. CBS did a report talking about how bad fraud is in California. Give a listen to this.
LA's top federal prosecutor, Bill O'Saley, showed us around this U.S. Marshal's warehouse.
It should offend every American taxpayer that these people are taking advantage of the system and enriching themselves.
These items had been owned by Paul Randall, who pleaded guilty this year in one of the largest Medi-Cal fraud cases in California history.
He submitted above $270 million worth of claims to the state of California.
Authorities say that money paid for Kobe Bryant game-worn sneakers, baseball cards of Jackie Robinson and Mickey Mantle, and this home, one of 7 properties Randall owned.
Let me tell you what a piece of work this Randall guy was. He's got 6 prior convictions for fraudulent conduct.
Who's responsible for the breakdown of the system?
Obviously, there's a breakdown in the criminal justice system. If this guy was able to have 6 convictions and never did any real prison time.
We turned up a private driveway.
He was living like a king off of us.
Climbing into an exclusive corner of Orange County.
It's 8 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms.
In other cases, prosecutors believe some of the money not spent on luxury goods is sent overseas.
It's much more difficult, if not impossible, for us to trace it or recover it.
Investigating government fraud is a priority for Haywood Talcove. He's been warning officials about scams for 2 decades.
U.S. taxpayers lose $1 trillion a year to these criminal groups.
Where's it going?
It goes to Russia, it goes to China, it goes to Nigeria, it goes to Romania.
By his estimate, of that $1 trillion, roughly 70% ends up in the hands of transnational criminal gangs.
Taxpayers are funding transnational criminals who are using this money for horrible things.
Cars, cards, compounds. This is what fraud looks like after it's already happened. O'Saley and Talcove agree.
That is why it is so important that the money never goes out in the first place.
And yet the Democrats didn't show up to this. Because the Democrats see these funds as taxpayer bribery. Not bribing the taxpayer, using taxpayer money to bribe their base, to bribe people to vote for them. Because if you're defrauding the government and you know you can just keep getting more money for the government, you're going to vote for the people who keep letting you defraud it, aren't you? Special interest groups. Think about what happened in Minnesota. Think what happened in Minneapolis, where you had thousands, literally thousands of people defrauding the system. Now, I understand that a lot of the higher-ups, like in the Feeding Our Future scandal, are going to jail. And a lot of the people who ran that autism scam are going to jail. But what about all the people who signed up their kids for it, knowing it was fraudulent, who are getting kickbacks? Every single one of them should be going to jail. But the Democrats saw this as an opportunity to pay off a group to vote for them. So they are happy to waste the taxpayer money. This should be a bipartisan thing. And let me tell you why. Because if you have that money back, Republicans can lower taxes, or Republicans can spend it on big, hairy missile systems and aircraft carriers. If Democrats have that money back, they can spend it on whatever dumb thing today is. More trans surgeries for everybody. Whatever they want to spend it on, they can do that. But you should want this back so it can go to your spending priorities. But sending it to fraudsters, sending it to people so that they will vote for Democrats is the Democrat priority, which is why they don't actually want to stop the fraud. In the process of doing this, a lot of companies are looking at this and saying, you're nickel and diming us for everything. You're costing us more money. And this is what you're spending it on? And you're raising taxes and you're making regulations worse and you're making it harder and harder and harder to operate. That's what you're doing. And companies are finally saying, we've had enough. We're out of here. So you might remember a couple weeks ago, we broke the story that Janicki Industries, which is a massive aerospace company here in Washington, which has been here for years in the Sedro-Woolley area, previously said it's expanding out of Washington to a more business-friendly environment. Well, today they announced, with a picture of the higher-ups of the company, they're expanding to Great Falls, Montana, with an $800 million investment of 2 million square feet of production space and over 2,000 new jobs over the next decade. All of that should have been here in Washington. All of that. But now instead, where's it all going? To Montana. And it's going to Montana because of Bob Ferguson and the Democrats. There's even rumors going around that people from Janicki tried to get a hold of Bob Ferguson and the Democrats about what they were doing. Never got a call back, but then the second they announced, hey, we're out of here, Bob Ferguson didn't want more bad headlines. Then he started calling them back, and already it's too late. Because when they say we're investing $800 million on 2 million square feet of production and putting in over 2,000 jobs, how much longer till you say, you know what, things are working so well, Montana? I don't think we need to be in Washington anymore. How much longer till that happens? Just like with the Starbucks. Now, it's a lot harder to move the things that Janicki's doing. So I think they'll be here for a little while longer, but that's 2,000 jobs that should have been here. That's $800 million that should have been here. That's 2 million square feet of production space that should have been here. And when they first announced they were looking to expand outside of Washington, I was kind of wondering why they put this announcement out there, and they probably put it out there because Bob Ferguson wasn't calling them back. Company president John Janicki, and he said that Washington remains our home. That is not changing. Our footprint in Washington has continued to grow, but is slowing due to ever-increasing regulations and lack of business understanding at an executive and legislative level. That's Bob Ferguson, and that's the Democrats in the legislature. He added that the state-level decisions are making it harder to create jobs locally and pushing the company to look elsewhere. He says it is best for Janicki to focus its large-scale expansion into a more business-friendly environment, so we are pursuing out-of-state growth. 2 million square feet. 2,000 jobs. This sounds like somebody else I know. I think they make coffee. 2,000 jobs, hundreds of millions of dollars of investment in Nashville, Tennessee. These are all jobs. This is all money that should have been right here in Washington. We go to the KVI studio line. Take a call from Adam in Sumner. Adam, what's going on, man?
Hey, are you familiar with Teeter, the workout fitness supplier up in Bonnie Lake.
If you saw my appearance around the midsection, you will know I am clearly not familiar with the workout supply people. Okay, tell me about it.
I wasn't going to judge, but okay.
I noticed that my Mets jersey's a little snug today that I'm wearing in the Mets game tonight. Yes, what's up, Adam?
So there was an article that was shared on a local community page out there, and as I remember reading it, I'm not sure if they're policies as well. And, of course, they are not only citing the high cost of a business, but the millionaire's tax is also one of their biggest concerns.
What's the name of the company? Teeter, you said?
Yeah. It's like TIETER, I think.
Okay.
Now, they were part of an expansion project going on as well. So there was a whole bunch of property cleared out, and it's been graded, and there was going to be buildings built, and also funded the roundabout that goes between Bonnie Lake and Buckley up there on Highway 410.
Sure.
A bunch of money was dumped into expanding. Now it sounds like these guys are leaving.
So if you see this article, do me a favor and send it on over to me, ari@kvi.com. That's ari@kvi.com. Otherwise, I'll try to remember to go looking for it tonight. But this is for our entire audience, is that, guys, if you ever see things like this, the Janicki thing, somebody emailed me that. Somebody sent me that. The Delta Camshaft, the owners got in touch with us. When you guys see this stuff, please send it to me. I mean, Adam, thank you for the tip. I'll definitely check it out. What do? They make like treadmills or something?
No, they're a supplier, so they're like a warehouse, and they're part of a distribution for supply treadmills, ellipticals, and other workout equipment.
Fascinating. And here in the Pacific Northwest, you have a lot of techies that like to do that kind of stuff. Not radio hosts who sit in a studio all day, just kind of standing here, right?
Right. Well, if you ever want a treadmill for your desk, you can call these guys. They probably have something.
Actually, I did think about that. My brother's got one at home, right? And he's doing great with it. So I thought to myself, you know what? When I go to his house, I'm going to check this sucker out. The problem is you hear it over the microphone. I tried a little experiment at home, and you hear it. So I could be standing in place, and everybody's like, why does Ari look like he's doing like the Rocky in place, on the live stream? But yeah, the problem is you actually hear it on the show. So I did think about that for half a second. Adam, I really appreciate the tip. Thank you very, very much for it. If you find that article, please email it to me, ari@kvi.com. That's ari@kvi.com. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. And I'll add this. The last time we were talking about Janicki, I don't think I understood how big that company was. This is a behemoth, an aerospace supplier. This is a massive, massive company. That means they've done the math on it doesn't make sense to be here anymore. You think Boeing isn't doing that math? Boeing's already got one foot out the door. How many other companies do you think are doing that math and going, it just don't make sense to be here anymore? I do not enjoy these stories. I know sometimes it seems like I'm gleefully reporting them. I do not enjoy them because it means the economy here is getting worse. It means people are moving out of Washington. It means there's less people here. It's a problem. Unfortunately, it's happening so often, I'm going to keep calling it out and calling it out and calling it out because the Democrats keep saying, there's no wealth flight. There's no capital flight. Yeah, tell me another one. Up next, my friends, lots more to discuss as the show continues. It's primary day in California. How are things looking? We'll discuss that. Plus, also an illegal alien is being sentenced for trying to kill a local police officer. I'll tell you about that insanity when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder to subscribe to our podcast on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. Remember, also check out the brand new KVI.com. While you're there, become a KVI insider. Sign up so that way you find out about all the events we are planning and other cool stuff going on. Also over there, you can check out the podcast. You can stream the show, and you can check out brand new articles from me, which Zach just put up today, that we will not be discussing until tomorrow. So you get the news before we do it right here on the show. Earlier today, Dr. Oz was giving a presser because the White House has come up with something pretty clever, by the way. So Caroline Leavitt is on maternity leave. And rather than send out an understudy like Karine Jean-Pierre, who, don't forget that she was Jen Psaki Atumi's understudy for all those years, and then they gave her the big job and it didn't work out so well, they figured, hey, what if we each week send out a different cabinet secretary to do the press conference? And then they get a full briefing from the person who knows all about it on that topic. That's great. So today was Dr. Oz's turn. And he was talking about how much fraud there was in Medicaid, Medicare, Obamacare, and how many people who are illegal aliens, your taxpayer dollars are actually paying for them to have health care.
Well, we are tracking illegal immigrants taking advantage of all health care plans. We've already recouped, or we've actually told California they owe us $2 billion. We've got half of it back already. I'm confident we'll get the rest because they have state-based programs that we don't have a lot of visibility into, but because of the Working Families Tax Cut legislation and other rulemaking, we are no longer allowing foreign folks who are here illegally to benefit from these programs. And just to put it in context, in California, if you're on Medi-Cal, the Medicaid program in California, until this administration, you got full dental and full vision benefits. Now, I'm for those benefits. I like them, but we don't give that to Medicare patients. And so we should at least be equitable, and all of us together should decide what we are going to do as a nation. So if we as a country decide we're going to go in one direction, you can't have states splintering off if they're going to spend the other people's money. The fraud, for example, that I'm talking about and the use of money for illegal immigrants, the people who pay that bill when it, for example, the largesse of California allows folks to get benefits that the rest of the country doesn't think is appropriate for illegal immigrants or home health care providers, that money is paid by folks who are taxpayers in New Mexico, which is a blue state, and Mississippi, a red state. So this is not partisan. Everybody is taxed extra and has to put more into the kitty because some states are doing things that we don't think as a country we would like to have happen. That's why this administration has been so dogged in this issue and why the president has been so aggressive.
Exactly. So when Bob Ferguson takes money from Medicaid or Medicare or whatever it is to give to illegal aliens, you're stealing money from New Yorkers and New Jersey and Connecticut and Illinois and Mississippi and Arkansas and Iowa and Idaho. And who are you giving the free health care to? A 35-year-old Mexican national who was illegally residing in California was sentenced today in U.S. District Court in Seattle to 15 years in prison for her leadership role of a massive drug distribution ring, according to the Justice Department. First Assistant U.S. Attorney Charles Neil Floyd, friend of the show, says Iris Adriana Amador Garcia of Bellflower, California, arranged for the distribution of pound quantities of methamphetamine, hundreds of thousands of fentanyl pills, and large quantities of heroin. She also laundered drug proceeds, possessed firearms, distributed drugs as far away as New York, southeastern states, can't speak normally today, and Fiji. We're now supplying other places. After one large load of drugs was seized during a traffic stop, Garcia hatched a plan to locate and kill the Centralia police officer who made the stop. You think she was just watching Lethal Weapon 2? You know, let's go kill all the police officers because they're too close to the South African drug running ring? In ordering the 15-year sentence, U.S. District Judge John C. Cohour said threats against law enforcement is a line in the sand that is completely unacceptable. This criminal organization was well organized, well sourced, and well connected. The defendant was prepared to take drastic measures to protect what she had built. She and her criminal associates were intercepted openly discussing killing an officer after a large shipment of drugs was seized. U.S. Attorney Floyd said, "I'm grateful for the diligent work of law enforcement to keep that officer safe, take these dangerous traffickers off the streets, and shut down their pipeline of devastating narcotics." Unfortunately, there's some people on the left who probably wish the cops were dead. There's some people on the left who actually want that kind of stuff. No such good thing as a good cop. The only good cop is a dead cop. That's the kind of stuff they were chanting during the autonomous zone. You don't remember that insanity? Law enforcement identified the leaders of the drug trafficking ring as early as February 2020. Indictments were returned in fall of 2021. The drug ring, headed by Garcia, distributed drugs widely in Massachusetts, New York, Illinois, Ohio, Florida, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Virginia, all out of Washington. That was all here in our own backyard. Additionally, during a search of the residence where Garcia was living with her brother and 2 co-conspirators, they seized 80,000 fentanyl pills. That's enough to kill 80,000 people. This is who they want to give the special treatment to. This is who Democrats want to give health care to. Really, the best and brightest coming here to our shores, right? J.D. Vance is just tired of all the violent rhetoric against ICE for enforcing the law coming from the Democrats. Here's what he said the other day.
And I think that is the most disgusting thing. The very people who keep us safe ought to be honored and protected and praised by Democrats and Republicans alike. It is time to stop the rhetorical assault on law enforcement. Because here's what happens. Because here's what happens when Democrats like Gavin Newsom did say that these people are part of an authoritarian government. When the left-wing media lies about what they're doing, when they lie about who they're arresting, when they lie about the actual job of law enforcement, what they're doing is encouraging crazy people to go and commit violence. You don't have to agree with my immigration policies. You don't have to agree with Donald Trump's immigration policies. But if your political rhetoric encourages violence against our law enforcement, you can go straight to hell and you have no place in the political conversation of the United States of America.
What's scary about that is that some people probably are upset that this person was put in jail and wanted them to kill law enforcement. You have people trying to do it right now. I'm really glad that the feds are cracking down on what's going on in New Jersey outside that ICE facility, because you literally have people attacking ICE agents night after night after night after night after night. They hate the cops. They hate them. Zoran Mamdani is a perfect example of this. Listen to what he said about ICE agents.
I have made clear, as you've said, that I view ICE's actions to be cruel and inhumane. These are not actions that serve any interest of public safety. And I say that time and again because what I've seen as the mayor of New York City is an agency that is operating with impunity, whether across the 5 boroughs of New York or whether elsewhere across the country. And so often, New Yorkers have no idea as to what could put them at risk beyond just the simple fact of their existence in this city.
He's taking the sides of the illegal alien drug dealers who've killed people, human traffickers, murderers, rapists, you name it, child molesters. That's who he's taking the side of. And yet, out of the other corner of his mouth, he talks about how crime numbers are down. Do you think maybe crime numbers are down or because ICE is getting that problem out of your city? Perhaps. Just a thought. Just a thought. When we come back, my friends, the return of our friend Batya Ungar-Sargon, host over on News Nation. Talk about her new book that's coming out and why you should buy it. That's up next. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. It has been a long time, too long, since we had our next guest on the show, but making her triumphant return to the Ari Hoffman Show, Batya Ungar-Sargon, author of the new book, The Jews and the Left. Thanks so much for being back with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I got to say, I watch your show a lot. I watch your clips a lot. You do phenomenal work on every show that you're on, and you become the go-to voice in this. I'll tell you something else is that you used to come on the show to debate me in a lot of topics, and now I find I don't disagree with you that much.
You see, left versus right does not really exist anymore in America, I believe. I really think that we're in a weird new era where we need like a new matrix for understanding things, because I also find myself agreeing with a lot of people who I used to disagree with, but even on issues that we don't agree on, they just don't matter to me as much anymore. You know what I mean? So I'd be like, you know, I'm sure there's still areas where you and I would not agree, but we don't put them at the top of the list of things that matter to us.
I completely agree. It seems like it's common sense versus crazy. That seems to be the new matrix these days. Can you have a beer with somebody, like the old mantra in politics? Or, you know, is somebody trying to kill you because they disagree with you? That's what it seems like these days. Let's talk about your book, The Jews and the Left. This is a call I get all the time on my show. Ari, why are all Jews Democrats? Ari, why do Jews vote for all this kind of stuff? And I say, well, I'm not. You're listening to a conservative radio host. Batya, what's the book about?
Well, but now you're going to say to them, I have a book for you.
Very true. Very, very true.
I mean, that's why I wrote it, because I was like traveling around the country talking about my other books, and people would just say to me, why are Jews Democrats? And it's funny because the people who would say that to me are like Republicans, Christians, conservatives. They said it with real pain, because they were like, why do the Jews like the side that hates them and hate the side that likes them? So basically, I wrote a book to answer those questions.
Without giving away too much in the book, for me, I see a lot of places where I think things went off the rails, where Jews moved away from different values. I mean, I don't know if you saw the post the Democrats put out yesterday, but something that really bothers me about the direction we've gone in is that there are Jews, including some who used to be students of mine, including some from my community, who have completely turned on their own faith and forsaken it for politics. Do you see that being a common thing?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with the socioeconomics of it all. So Jews are overwhelmingly college educated. So if you think about it, 30% of Americans, 33% of Americans have a college degree, but over 60% of American Jews do. And we know that universities are basically just like factories for woke mind virus. Mm-hmm. So honestly, it's shocking that it's not worse. For 100 years, for most Jews in America, their faith, their Jewishness was not really about religion. One of the first things a lot of Jewish immigrants did when they got here was stop being observant, because as you and I know, Ari, as Orthodox Jews, it's a heavy lift. And they got here and they were like, this is the golden Medina, the land of freedom. You know, I'm done with all that. But they were still very proud of being Jewish and very identified with their Jewishness on an ethnic level, but also on a cultural level. And for many American Jews, that culture was the culture of liberalism. And so there were two sort of fundamental components of their Jewish identity, their liberal values, and then their attachment to other Jews and their attachment to Israel, their Zionism. Their Zionism is their faith for many American Jews. And that's why when people on the left say, oh, we're not anti-Semitic, we're just anti-Zionist, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, because you're basically saying you don't have room in your movement for proud Jews. And most Jews, even in 2026, 85%, 90% are Zionists.
I feel so validated right now. This is everything I've been saying for 3 years. We're talking with Batya Ungar-Sargon, host over on News Nation, author of the new book, The Jews and the Left. There's something else I noticed, and I noticed this with working with teenagers a lot. It really started like 30 years ago, where a lot of less observant Jews embrace this thing called tikkun olam, repairing the world. And they just translate that into, hey, let's kind of do community service. Oh, now that's just going to be politics. Whatever is left, whatever is trendy, that's going to be our new thing. It seems like all the Holocaust education was a massive, massive bummer. Let's embrace this instead. And it just turned a lot of synagogues into political factories.
Yeah, I mean, well, it makes a lot of sense, right? Like if you go to a synagogue, but you don't believe in God, you don't believe he wrote the Torah, and you don't want to do anything in the Torah, you need something else, right? Like, you need another reason to show up. And so, Democratic Party politics provided one. It feels good, right? Like, they're very good at casting liberal values of the Democratic Party as, like, compassionate. And so it kind of jived with the sort of flabby liberalism of, overeducated urbanites, which is what many American Jews are. And they wouldn't have even realized this, except that the side that they made their milieu and that they made their home turned on them. Right? Like, they would have happily kept going if the left continued the myth, in my view, that Jews are oppressed, right? If the left had put the Jews on the oppressed side of the oppressor-oppressed woke binary, nothing would have ever changed. The problem is that the left was like, no, you're the oppressors. My gripe with the ADL is that instead of being like, whoa, this binary is evil, they were like, how dare you? We are oppressed. You know what I mean? Like, instead of like throwing out the sociopathic woke worldview, they were just like, you miscategorized us. Like, the framework is fine. The DEI is fine. Just put us in it, which I think is like a massive betrayal. So the part of the book that I'm most proud of are the early chapters where I go through like the early history of Jews in America, where before we became Democrats, we were really seen by the founding fathers as founding partners in the creation of this great nation. We were not seen as an oppressed group. We were not seen as an immigrant group. We were seen as heritage Americans, and we were seen as whites, and that was an honor. And again, when leftist Jews are like, well, Jews aren't white, it's like we were honored to be considered that by George Washington himself, who said we would be treated as freedmen. And we were seen as like the conveyors of the civilization that was in the Bible that they were creating America out of. They didn't think you could just come up with the idea that our rights were imbued in us by our Creator. They saw that in the Bible, and they saw the Jews as being like the living, breathing embodiment of that text. We owe it to ourselves to remember that history.
I love when you put it that way, because you said something very profound after October 7th when you see the kids crying on college campuses. You said, no more of these Jews on bended knee being upset. You stand up, you fight back, you be proud of who you are. And that really resonated with me, who says similar things all the time. And that's something I always think of Batya when somebody says something like that. I always think of you. In the last few minutes we have with Batya Ungar-Sargon, host of News Nation and the author of the new book, The Jews and the Left. What has been the response from the Jewish community regarding this book? Because when your first book came out about the media calling them out for their woke insanity, some in the media weren't so happy to read something like this. What is the response to this book?
Well, it just came out today, so I don't know yet.
I pre-ordered it, by the way, as should everybody else in the audience. So hopefully it'll be coming to my house on Amazon. My wife, Mrs. Hoffman, and I are very excited to read this. And Batya, you're going to laugh about this. I'm probably sending one over to my mother as well, because she loves your stuff too.
This is a very good gift for that Jew in your life who's a very liberal, but who you love very much and who you want to convince that there's a wider world out there. It's not about Trump, and it doesn't say Jews should be Republicans. It says we should join the side that we're on, which is the side of America, and we should rediscover our loyalty to this nation that, unlike every other nation in the history of humanity, refused to oppress us.
I completely agree. And speaking of nations, you can catch Batya Ungar-Sargon over on News Nation, and you should pick up her new book on Amazon, which comes out today, The Jews and the Left. Batya, such a pleasure to have you back. Congratulations on all your success. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. God bless and protect you, Ari Hoffman.
Amen, amen, amen. We have a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I'm going to give you some numbers. 25,000, 35,000, 43,000. That's the official count of homeless people in the city of Los Angeles from 2015 to 2019 to 2025. So you went from 25,686 homeless people to 35,550 homeless people to 43,695 people. So where does Karen Bass get it in her head that the problem's gotten better under her watch? She said she was going to fix all this. She said it was going to get better. And I'll tell you, the reason Spencer Pratt's messaging is resonating is because he's saying all the things that people see with their own two eyes happening in Los Angeles. My daughter every year goes to camp in California. And she tells me how much worse Los Angeles looks than the last time she saw it. My daughter and I went to Los Angeles over President's Day weekend this year because I'm a really awesome dad, and I took her to Universal Studios. And while we were down there, we saw a lot of homeless people. In fact, somebody told me while we were down there, they've got the little food delivery robots. They've got those suckers. Have you seen these little boxes on wheels? They can't get to some of their deliveries sometimes because they don't know how to circumvent the homeless encampments that are on the sidewalks. They can't get where they're going. The problem has only gotten worse. I saw a video of Spencer Pratt in the jungle. You know what the jungle is? It's one of the really bad neighborhoods in LA. That's where, at the end of Training Day, that's where Ethan Hawke goes to confront Denzel Washington. That's the jungle. Yes, people literally standing around there with guns and such. That's the jungle. Spencer Pratt goes there to campaign. You think Karen Bass is going to go there to campaign? No, of course not. Now, we're not going to know the details of the primary tonight unless it's a blowout. If it's a massive blowout, we'll probably know because they have a goofy system like we have here in Washington, where all of a sudden Shama Sawant is losing. She's losing on Tuesday. And then, Friday, she's magically winning. In fact, right now, we know that there are also fires in L.A. L.A. County election officials told Matthew Seedorf that they are investigating two separate incidents ahead of Tuesday's election. Officials say a number of mail-in ballots sustained apparent fire damage inside an official drop box at the Department of Public Services Civic Center in downtown L.A. The Department of Public Social Services Civic Center. Homeless people. Authorities are also investigating a separate vandalism incident at the Vote Center in Cesar Chavez Park. Where homeless people hang out. So homeless people are lighting fires to your ballot boxes. And you think this is a secure election? You think this is a safe and secure election? Did we have the exact same thing happen here in Southern Washington? Did we have that in the last election? I'm not saying there's election shenanigans. I'm saying the homeless people are a problem and Karen Bass hasn't dealt with them. So that's why we're still having homeless issues right out of this election. The question is if it's going to be Karen Bass versus Spencer Pratt. I think Spencer Pratt has a chance. If it's Spencer Pratt versus ramen noodle soup, whatever her name is, if it's him versus her, then I'm not so sure because Democrats are always looking for a reason to vote for the least competent person they could possibly find. What do you think? You think Spencer Pratt's going to pull it out in the primary tonight? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, final hour free-for-all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, plus a whole lot more about what's going on in Seattle. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, more chances to win fantabulous prizes, and the Democrats delete a post after getting ratioed horribly. But before we get to any of that, looks like a lot of you over on the text line want to weigh in on whether or not you think Spencer Pratt has a chance. Eben in Bonnie Lake says, Ari, I think enough people are sick to their stomach about how things are going that Spencer Pratt has a good chance. It just depends on if the election is actually going to be fair. This one here from John in Auburn. Ari, everything the left coast is bass-ackwards. Clever. I see what you did there. From the bottom to the top, it is uncommon sense. And then it makes sense to the pitiful leadership that uninformed people voted for. Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Rob in Lakewood says it's only 45,000 homeless people if you believe the Democrats' numbers, because anytime they do the point in time count here in Seattle, we have Andrea Suarez on the show the next day. And what does Andrea Suarez always tell us? Yeah, that is by far an undercount. Now, last time I actually said, what if it's an overcount? Because the homeless person in the apartment also has the RV, also has the tent, and the RV and the tent, one they deal drugs out of, one they have the chop shop out of, one they beg for money from. So what if it's actually a lot less? It just seems like there's a lot more. These counts are not accurate. They never, ever are. Either they're huge overcounts or they're huge undercounts. We just don't know. It's really, really bad. Other races we are watching tonight as the polls start to close across the country. We don't have any results for you yet, but of course, there is the LA mayor race. That's probably the one that everybody's watching. And that's Karen Bass, Spencer Pratt, and LA Councilwoman Nithya Raman. So the polling before this was Bass was leading Pratt 23.5% to 21.2%. And you had Raman at a distant third of 12.7%. So you've got that. The question is that going to affect the governor's race as well? Because in California, don't forget, Gavin Newsom is term limited. So you've got people looking to replace him. Javier Becerra, oh my God. Joe Biden's Secretary of Health and Human Services, who is just an absolute disaster at that. Republican Steve Hilton, who actually, I got to tell you something, I'm not impressed with Steve Hilton's campaign so far. I think he's being elevated by Spencer Pratt, and even though he's the Republican, and even though he's endorsed by President Trump, every time I turn on Fox News, there's Steve Hilton. Do you know what that means? It means he's not doorbelling. It means he's not doorbelling. You got to be out doorbelling. You got to be out getting votes. Being on Fox News is not going to help you win votes in California. That's the problem. I know Fox News thinks they're helping. I know Steve thinks it's a big deal because used to be on Fox News and all that. That doesn't. You need to go door to door. Why is Spencer Pratt getting on TV all the time? It's not because of interview after interview. It's because every time you see these interviews, he's out somewhere and he talks to the media that's wherever he's at. He talks to people in California. He talks to hosts in California. Fox News, what is Fox News viewership? Like 8 million people a night? Across the country? That ain't going to help you in California. So, Steve Hilton, if you happen to get through the primary and somebody from your campaign is listening, you got to check that out as well. We've got races in Montana. We've got races in New Jersey, New Mexico, and South Dakota tonight. I think the California races, are going to be the ones everybody watches. Now, prediction for tomorrow, Kevin. You ready for this one? No matter who wins or who loses. What does this mean for the midterms? Does this mean Trump's going to lose? Does this mean Trump's going to win? It has nothing to do with that whatsoever. It has to do with the fact that California is a mess. Do Californians want to see through the mess, or do they want to actually address the mess? That's what it's going to come down to. Do they want to ignore what's going on and blame Trump for what's going on? Or do they want to say, well, you know, Trump isn't in charge of California. Gavin Newsom's in charge of California. Karen Bass is in charge of California. Maybe. Just maybe. This one here from Jay. I think our country is in serious trouble. Lawlessness, drug abuse, corruption in the government, which is a group of people and not some magical force. Immorality, those who push the whole trans ideology, the destruction of the nuclear family, and high taxes. This one here from the 425, Fire Bass. Robin Lakewood says doorbelling, maybe he doesn't want to die. The dude went into the jungle to campaign, man. He went right in there. Now you're going to say, but Ari, he was on Bill Maher this week. Guess where Bill Maher lives, my friends? Think about that for a second. Actually, he said this, which was kind of nice.
I grew up in LA. All my best friends are Jewish. I grew up going to Crossroads. I've been to more bar and bat mitzvahs than I had been to church until I was maybe still tied, to the point where, of course, when I'm running for mayor, I'm going to temples. I'm supporting my Jewish friends. The level of psycho Nazi lunacy that came at me to just say that I want my friends and family to feel safe in LA, to feel safe if their kids go to UCLA. I had to see. If the only thing that came out of this whole experience, there's a lot of things, if I, God forbid, or God's plan, I don't win, to see what people experience right now just because of their religion is diabolical. And again, I don't care if you're Muslim. I don't care how you identify. I don't care if you're trans. I don't care whatever you do, but you should have the right to do that and feel safe wherever you are, whether it's going to school, going to your popping trans bar, whatever it is, you should feel safe and not feel in danger. And that's back to my common sense.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. That's what it should be. So, my friends, right now, people are not feeling safe in California because of the amount of crime. They are not feeling safe at all. So, as a result of this, are they going to be smart and say, maybe we want to try something new? Or are they going to continue going with same old, same old? Here in Washington, no different, by the way. No different. I don't know if I told you about this yesterday. There's this company called Seattle Kosher. What they do is they deliver kosher groceries to your house. That's what they do. I order from them all the time. Well, they put out an announcement the other day that they are scaling back their deliveries, shutting down their delivery. Because, and that's what they do, they're still going to stock grocery stores. You know how when you go through the grocery aisles, you see that one little tiny kosher section here in the Seattle area, right? It's not like New York where you can have a whole kosher deli at Costco, which is amazing. No, here you got a little bit. Now they're not going to be doing the deliveries anymore. Why? Rising costs, taxes, vandalism, and a shrinking customer base. The owner announced the company will phase out its home delivery operation over the next several weeks. The closure marks the end of a service that has supplied kosher food to Jewish families throughout the Pacific Northwest since 2010. According to the company, economic realities have made the business increasingly difficult to sustain. This shift, combined with rising costs for housing and a 40% increase in grocery prices over the last decade, has created significant challenges. The company noted that the kosher products have been hit even harder by inflation. Kosher-specific items like beef, poultry, and cheese have seen even steeper price or increases. Seattle Kosher also points directly to Washington's business climate as a factor in the decision. Additionally, a difficult business environment marked by rising wages, insurance, taxes, recurring vandalism has impacted our operations. These economic pressures have forced us to pass price increases onto our customers, which has negatively affected Seattle Kosher's home delivery service. It doesn't matter if you're a big company or a small company. It's affecting everybody the exact same way. We told you earlier in the show, Janicki Industries, a Cedro-Woolley-based aerospace and defense supplier, announced that it is investing $800 million in Montana, 2 million square feet of production floor space, 2,000 employees, 2,000 jobs they are hiring over there. You know, it's probably going to be the next announcement from Janicki Industries. Well, we got some layoffs coming here in Washington. Yeah, and we're still hiring over there, though. Who does that sound like? Sounds like Starbucks. How many other companies, until the Democrats actually admit there's a wealth flight? How many more? In fact, this is not something that's new. This has been going on for years. The Puget Sound Business Journal just started looking into the numbers from the census, and they realized 68,000 tax filers left King County in 2023, taking approximately $2.19 billion in adjusted gross income with them. According to their review, nearly 1/3 of departing King County tax filers relocated to Pierce and Snohomish County, where housing costs are significantly lower. While local officials often focus on overall population totals, economists noted that the migration data tells a different story, that not all residents contribute equally to the tax base. The IRS Statistics of Income Migration Database tracks address changes on federal tax returns, measures the amount of income moving across county lines. The latest figures suggest King County may be exchanging higher income taxpayers for lower income taxpayers. A shift that can have significant implications for local government revenues, consumer spending, housing markets, and public services. Downtown Seattle Association President John Scholes warned that Seattle lost more than 13,000 jobs in 2025 alone. He said it's because of the tax burden, employment costs. Among the newest costs facing employers is a 5% social housing tax on employee compensation exceeding $1 million, which took to effect this year. Also, he said a lot of people who chose to live in Bellevue and the East Side rather than Seattle itself. Cushman Wakefield found office vacancy rate is over 33.3%. Blackstone agreed to sell Seattle's U.S. Bank Center, as we discussed yesterday, for roughly $280 million. That's 54% less than the company paid for the property in 2019, because if your building's half empty, it's not worth as much. Blackstone has been investing heavily in Bellevue office properties leased by, wait for it, whose boat is out there right outside our window right now? Meta. They've been investing heavily in Bellevue office properties leased by Meta. And what's Meta doing? They just laid off 1,400 people. They scaled back their expansion for Washington. They're hiring other places, but they scaled back here. Amazon's been laying people off. Starbucks, as we mentioned earlier, Starbucks is going to Nashville. How much more proof do you need? If I had a meeting with Jamie Peterson and Turd Ferguson, I would walk into that office with two stories: Starbucks and Seattle Kosher. Why? Why Seattle Kosher? Because if this small business is having the same problems as the big business, you have a massive problem on your hands. That this is affecting everybody. I bring a couple real estate experts with me. I was driving home the other day. I know it's spring. I know it's summer. I'm seeing houses next to each other that are for sale. I've never seen that before. That's new, because people are getting out of here with the quickness, you might say. And they're afraid of the income tax. Now, I'll tell you, my friends, I cannot wait to get the totals on the signature gathering. In fact, I'm going to take one of those sheets with me to the Mariners game tonight. I'm going to have everybody sitting with me. Who's sitting with me? We're going to all sign that thing to repeal the income tax. We're going to do it tonight. I'm going to bring it with me to the game. That's right. I'll be at the Mariners game tonight. Look for the silly fool in the Mets jersey. Oh, wait, they're playing the Mets. There's going to be a lot of Mets fans there tonight. Excellent. Maybe we'll actually win tonight. But I'll bring that sheet with me. Oh, Kevin thinks those are fighting words.
No, I hope not. What do I mean? You guys are already useless, right? I mean, you're not going to make it anywhere, right?
Hey. Just because we've accepted it, you don't get to say things like that yet. Yes, we're all aware.
I mean, come on. If it's already looks like it's a lost cause for you, why not just get behind the Mariners a little bit?
No, I got a free jersey yesterday. I'm not going to start wearing that for this guy. First of all,
why'd you take a free jersey from here?
I got someone I'm giving it to as a gift.
Oh, okay.
I got a nephew. I'm giving it to him as a gift. I'm actually going to bring it to the game tonight and give it to my nephew as a gift. That's what I'm going. My kids aren't going to wear it. In fact,
you're going to hand it to him and be like, "Oh, sure hope you lose. Here you go, kid."
Yes, exactly right. That's what I'm going to do with it. In fact, there was a little poll in my family chat tonight. Shouldn't my wife wear a Mariners jersey or a Mets jersey? And you know my kids are good and brainwashed because they all said Mets jersey. That's right.
Didn't she grow up here too?
Yeah, but she married me.
So she's been infected by you?
Well, look, here's the thing. She likes the Seahawks. She likes the Kraken. If the Sonics come back, she'll like all that, right?
Yeah.
But she never really cared about the Mariners because she was never really... I mean, she played baseball because she has no strike zone. You've met my wife. Tiny lady, right? Very, very tiny. Got no strike zone whatsoever. So automatic walk every time. But she wasn't the biggest baseball fan. So for her husband, who's a little bit more invested in these things, hey, dude, I moved across the country. All I did was ask her to pick a team. I didn't even ask her. She just did it because she's nice like that. She picked a team that actually has been to a few World Series, actually won a few World Series. Let's just, dwell on that for a second.
They had their time. That's fine.
Is it a rebuilding year for the Mariners again? Is that what we're doing here? Oh, am I going to start getting the hate text any second?
Yeah, you are, because
I know. This is what's going to happen. Because I'm a Seattle radio host who's talking about the New York Mets. Yes, I understand.
And they're not going to do anything this year. Are you guys even competitive at all in your division? Okay. That's like what are we doing here? What are we doing?
It's all because of Mamdani. This is all Mamdani's fault. He hugs Mr. Met, and all of a sudden they start losing. This is all Mamdani's fault. That's what it is. It's root for the home team. Yeah.
Not only do I hope the Mariners win, I hope that they've been doing what they did last season and they started doing again this season is let you get ahead, let you tie it up or whatever, and then just put you out of your misery with a walk-off.
Oh, you think that's what it's going to be?
Bye.
Okay. I can't even get kosher Krispy Kreme donuts. The Krispy Kreme's not kosher anymore when I go down there. Things are not looking good for kosher food in Seattle, I'll tell you that. The truth is, it's not looking good for any business in Seattle. It's really, really not. By the way, I have a guess, Kevin. Tell me what you think about this. Zuckerberg's boat has been out there for 2 days now. He paid for a moorage slip, but what happened when he parked at the moorage slip? The protesters all showed up. Do you think the boat, I don't see a lot of activity on the boat itself. I don't see people walking the decks. I don't see boats coming and going from it.
Yeah, yesterday there were, I guess someone said, I wasn't I don't sit next to that window, but
I do.
People working in here said they did see boats coming and going yesterday.
So I don't think they were coming and going. I think they were checking it out. That's what it looked like to me. Like, let's go look at the Zook's yacht. I wonder if it's out there for 2 days because they don't want to be near shore where the crazies are. I mean, look, it just takes one of them with a, God forbid, Molotov cocktail or something like that. And then you've got World Cup issues on top of that. Billionaire's yacht gets firebombed by Antifa. Oh, God forbid, God forbid, God forbid. But that's the kind of crazy city we live in around here. Speaking of crazy, when we come back, my friends, the Democrats were forced to remove a post because it got ratioed so hard on social media. We'll tell you what it was all about when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, we are having a contest today to win fantabulous prizes. That's right. We are giving away two tickets to see Colin Cloud mastermind at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. For over 20 years, Colin Cloud has been entertaining and astounding audiences on the biggest TV shows and stages around the world. He'll know what you had for lunch, where you've been today, what you do for a living, your pets' names, even your PIN code. Described by the media as the real-life Sherlock Holmes, he's enjoyed and sold out runs on London's West End, Broadway, and Las Vegas Strip, where he is now a headliner with his own show in Harrah's Hotel and Casino. Now, if you want to win these fantabulous prizes, all you have to do is text the word I give you to the number I give you for your chance to win. Do not text your name. Do not text your phone number. Do not text your address. If you win, we will find you and we will reward you with these fantabulous prizes. Today's word is wand, as in magic wand, as in I waved my magic wand and won fantabulous prizes. Text the word wand to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 for your chance to win. Good luck, my friends. Remember, we are running contests all week long. You got to listen for the keyword for your chance to win. Something crazy happened yesterday where the Jewish Democrats, the Council of Jewish Democrats, who I've never heard of these guys before, they put up a post that said pride is a Jewish value, and the word pride is all rainbow colored. Now, they had so many comments about this thing, about the New Testament, about what it actually says, that they deleted this thing and they pulled this thing down. But there's something here that really kind of bothers me about this whole thing. So hang on a second. You have candidates that are asking Hassan Piker to campaign with them. Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker supports Hamas. He supports Hezbollah. He supports Islamic extremism. And he's campaigning with Democrats who are putting up pride flags for this month. Really? Either you are that ignorant or you're that stupid, or you just say, well, I'll just say whatever I think it takes to get elected. Absolute hypocrisy. What about the squad members who support Hamas? What would Hamas do if they started having pride parades in Gaza? They would throw the people participating in that parade off the highest rooftop if there were any rooftops left in Gaza. And yet give me a break, guys. Are you kidding me? I oftentimes have moderates come up to me, even Republicans come up to me, even Democrats come up to me, who say they are gay, they are Jewish, and they feel abandoned by the Democrat Party. The truth is, you can put up whatever posts you want on social media. It don't make it true, and it don't mean you actually stand for anything. How many people put a post after October 7th? I stand with the Jewish people, and then immediately were marching in the encampments? How many people put up posts after 2023? Oh, the George Floyd thing, whatever. I mean, give me a break. Putting up a post on social media doesn't mean anything. What have you actually done? What have you actually done? I mean, you guys are running Graham Plattner as a candidate. Graham Plattner, the guy with a Nazi tattoo. Somebody want to remind me what they did to gay people during the Holocaust? But they're running Graham Plattner. You've got Bernie Sanders, Chuck Schumer supporting Graham Plattner. Absolute hypocrisy. So the Jewish Democrats end up taking down that post because it was so absolutely tone deaf. Everywhere you go in Seattle, they're putting up the pride flags today. In fact, I'm driving through downtown Seattle, and the neighborhood is now beautiful. They have cleaned the place out. It is gorgeous. Just in time for the World Cup. I mean, it looks like how it looked 22 years ago when I first moved here. It's immaculate. It's beautiful. But I had to go through the rest of Seattle to get to that area. And I saw all the squalor. As usual, same guy on this, different guy today, on the side of the freeway asking for handouts, coming out of the massive encampment. But you know what I've noticed? Every single time I put up a post with one of these pictures and it gets a lot of traction on social media, that encampment gets cleaned up. So if you guys want an encampment near your house cleaned up, I guess send me the pictures of it and we'll put it online and we'll see if the city actually deals with it. Or maybe it was just the Seattle City Council or the mayor's office really didn't like the picture I put up with 4 tents lined up on a grassy area right in front of the Space Needle. Right there. You see the Space Needle in the background. You've got, we like 3 blocks away, but that's how the picture comes out, where the Space Needle's right there. And those tents, where'd they go? Let's send them over to KVI and send them over to Hoffman. So they put them down below our parking area. That's where they are now. They moved down there. The amount of pushing, of whack-a-mole that they're doing to shove the homeless in different places, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. I remember that Katie Wilson was the one who said that she wasn't going to play whack-a-mole anymore. Katie Wilson was the one who goes, no, we're going to leave them where they lie. We're going to leave them there on the streets because sweeping people is cruel and unusual or whatever it is. She said whatever she said to beat Bruce Harrell, who that's all he did. So now Katie Wilson is spending millions of dollars on this new homeless tiny home village. Now they're calling them pallet homes. That doesn't sound better to me. Tiny home sounds better than pallet homes. They're the exact same thing. So now they're opening a new pallet home village in Interbay next door to a daycare with 100 kids in it. And it's a low barrier tiny home village, which means you can bring in your drugs, which means you can bring in your felony warrants. It means you can bring in your outstanding warrants. It means you can bring in your guns, your knives, your whatever else. It means that, like other low barrier tiny home villages, you can have one of those tiny homes as the designated drug use space, basically a gas chamber where you can go kill yourself, under supervision, of course, by the people who give you the drug paraphernalia. That's Katie Wilson's plan for dealing with all this. Quick, get the unwashed out of here. Let's shove them into the tiny home villages. If they die, they die. Right? We'll just shove them in there as quick as they can. That's what we're going to do. Spend millions of dollars on this failed model. Because as soon as the World Cup is over, you know what's going to happen. The zombies are going to come back to the streets. We're going to see Seattle looking like Seattle again, but it shouldn't. If you can clean it up for a couple weeks for the World Cup, you can keep it that way year-round. Decline is a choice, as we keep seeing in those posts from the White House account. As the White House continues to clean up national monuments, statues, memorials in Washington, D.C. The last time I went to Washington, D.C., which was, oh no, I take it back. The time before that when I went to Washington, D.C., I couldn't believe how filthy the place was. It was so disgusting. Just absolutely filthy. But now President Trump is cleaning up. I can't wait to go this summer. I cannot wait to go for 4th of July. I haven't seen it look like that since I was a kid. Washington, D.C. is a beautiful city. Unfortunately, it's been run like absolute garbage for years. Decline is a choice. Look at downtown Seattle. Right now, they are choosing to keep the waterfront clean. They are choosing to keep downtown clean. They are choosing to keep the stadium area clean. I can't wait to go to the baseball game tonight, Kevin. That's probably going to be the cleanest I have ever seen that place, ever, in like 22 years. I can't wait for it. I'm very, very excited for it. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from Jay in Des Moines. Jay, what's going on?
Hey, Ari, I think you already answered my question. I asked, if they can clean it up for the World Cup, why can't they just keep it clean? Why
Exactly.
can't they just do it permanently?
Exactly. So what do you think it is? Political will or what?
I don't know. This whole crazy state's messed up. I don't have an answer for you.
I think what it is, it's a few things. One, you've got somebody like Katie Wilson who's beholden to the activists. And the activists think compassion is letting people die on the streets. Why do the homeless people always have tents ready to go when they're sweeping out a homeless encampment? Because what happens every single time is the activists show up when they get wind of one of these sweeps and they go, hang on, we're setting up the tents right here. Just move in right here. I sent Katie Wilson's office an email today. I sent them an email and I said, can you do me a favor and tell me why you decided to put the homeless encampment right next to the daycare? Because parents are freaking out over at that daycare. And of course, I didn't get a response. I emailed the city council. And the city council said, well, we'll get your response, but why don't you ask the mayor's office? And I go, well, at least the city council gets back to me from time to time. The mayor's office has never gotten back to me the entire time she was in office. And Bruce Harrell never got back to me the entire time he was in office. I mean, we get requests back from Democrats in New York, and we don't get them back from these guys.
Where's the compassion for the taxpayers?
There you go. There's that one. Oh, no, wait, hang on a second. I know what Katie Wilson thinks of the taxpayers. You know what Katie Wilson thinks of the taxpayers, right? You know what she thinks, right?
Like, bye.
That's what she thinks, right? Like, just move it. Wait. This is just like the King County economics we were going over, that report from the Puget Sound Business Journal that says all the wealthy people are saying this to Katie Wilson.
Like, bye.
And all the homeless people are moving in. So that's the wealth redistribution she wanted, right?
Well, thanks for making me laugh.
No problem, Jay. That's what we do here. We aim to please, my friend. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, my friends, we often think our taxpayer dollars are being wasted at the UN. But now looks like that might be changing, and will President Trump finally put the kibosh on funding that? Maybe we'll turn it into the Trump Library, or a parking garage, or a homeless encampment. Who knows? We'll give you all details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. My friends, UN Watch today called on the United Nations Security Council, to reject Michelle Bachlet's bid to become the next United Nations Secretary General, given the fact that as the Commissioner of Human Rights, she has said absolutely nothing about actual atrocities happening around the world. Joining us now to discuss, the Executive Director of UN Watch, Hillel Neuer. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So let me get this right. The UN repeatedly appoints people to the human rights commissions, and now they want to appoint somebody to the UN secretary. This is who they want to appoint, who really have a bad track record on human rights, and they expect us to take them seriously?
Yeah, it's very scary, to be honest, because whether we like it or not, the UN has great influence around the world. Many people in Europe and other countries regard it as a moral repository, even if we think it's a sham. They don't. And so they're now considering one of the candidates to be the next Secretary General. That's the sort of CEO of the UN. Currently, it's Antonio Guterres. His term ends later this year. And Michelle Bachelet, former president of Chile. She's a radical left politician. She supports Fidel Castro. She was friendly with Chavez and Maduro. When she was High Commissioner for Human Rights at the UN a number of years ago, she turned a blind eye to atrocities in China and Russia. And that's why we're saying that the United States and other countries need to veto her.
So a question that my audience is for sure going to ask is, what do we care what the UN does? We don't listen to them anyway. A lot of them are going to say we should stop funding them and turn the whole thing into a homeless shelter or a parking garage or the next Trump library or who knows what. So why does this affect people here in the U.S.?
Well, so long as the UN is there, and for now it is there, Trump hasn't left. Actually, he got some things that he liked. He did get an endorsement of his Board of Peace plan. The UN Security Council endorsed that. The United States, of course, enjoys a veto power over anything dealing with military or other major security issues. So far, even Trump has not left the UN, and it's there. As long as the UN is there, it does influence people around the world. So we can think it's ridiculous, but UN decisions are treated as gospel in large parts of the world. And sadly, when a twisted report comes out, or when there's a leading official who is siding with terrorists or with dictators, it can influence many people around the world and ultimately can hurt Americans.
We're talking with.
I'm going to give an example.
Sure, go ahead.
When America was rightfully trying to destroy Iranian nuclear facilities to stop them from their race to build a bomb, the UN Secretary General Guterres and his officials immediately mobilized to condemn America, to condemn Israel, and really to side with the Iranian regime and their propaganda. So that's literally hurting Americans on the ground. You have American servicemen and women in theater, and you had the UN encouraging people to treat them as great violators of human rights.
We're talking with the Executive Director of UN Watch, Hillel Neuer. And with regard to the UN and how they influence policy, I mean, a lot of people just look at the UN and they say, can't we just shut the thing down? And I say, are we better off reforming it? Do you think it could actually be reformed? I mean, after all, the United States pays for the whole thing. So is this something that's worth reforming? Would you rather see working towards shutting it down? It's here for now, but what would you say regarding this organization moving forward?
Well, there might be a time where President Trump, for example, might say, we hosted the UN in New York for 80 years. It's a long time. And now it's someone else's turn. There's a UN office in Kenya, and maybe it's Kenya's chance to host the UN. And let's see how many giant delegations will show up at the annual opening in September of the UN General Assembly if instead of being in Manhattan, where your entire extended family of second cousins and your clan can come and go shopping tax-free on the government's nickel, instead they have to fly to Kenya. The UN might kind of be regarded as a whole different kind of thing. So there may come that point, and I think the U.S. does have leverage, and I think that's something they should consider using.
We're talking with Hillel Neuer, who is the Executive Director of UN Watch. And something else you've been covering very, very closely is how the UN doesn't just fund conflicts around the world, but some of their employees are allegedly involved in a lot of these conflicts around the world, most notably during the October 7th atrocities committed by Hamas. This is something the UN occasionally admits, yeah, there may have been a few of them, but it looks like there may be more and more every day. Tell us what you found.
Well, our organization has been tracking a UN agency that claims to be humanitarian, but in fact is the precise opposite. It's called UNRWA, UNRWA. They claim to be a UN relief agency for Palestinians, but in fact, they have kept Palestinians as perpetual refugees for more than 7 decades. They have put them in a state of dependency, and they educate them that their mission in life is to dismantle and destroy Israel and to replace Israel. And so we're talking about Palestinians who fled Israel. They were told by their Arab state neighbors, leave Israel, we're going to destroy the Jews, then you could come and take back their homes. They found themselves as refugees in Lebanon and Jordan. And rather than being resettled and starting a new life, which is what the Jews did, there were Jews who were expelled from Iraq and Egypt and Syria and many other Arab countries, some 800,000 Jews, and they all found new lives, many of them in Israel, others in America or Canada. And they're no longer refugees. They haven't been refugees for decades. But the Palestinians have been deliberately kept by this UN agency as refugees to keep them in a state of grievance and teaching them that their job is to destroy Israel. Many of the terrorists who invaded Israel on that day and committed atrocities were alumni, graduates of these UN schools.
Insane. Absolutely insane. And we know the schools are being used for these terrorist bases as well as the hospital and other things that we found as Israel continues to go through Gaza and find out just how extensive the terrorist network was. Hill Neuer, Executive Director of UN Watch, you are doing an amazing job keeping tabs on everything going on over there. Everybody should follow you over on social media. Thank you so much for your advocacy, for bringing awareness to all this, and for joining us today. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Only good news to wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And before we get to our good news headlines, one more chance today for you to win two tickets to see Colin Cloud mastermind at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. For over 20 years, Colin Cloud has been entertaining and astounding audiences on the biggest TV shows and stages around the world. He'll know what you had for lunch, where you've been today, what you do for a living, your pet's names, even your PIN code, described by the media as the real-life Sherlock Holmes. He's enjoyed sold-out runs on London's West End, Broadway, and the Las Vegas Strip, where he is now a headliner with his own show in Harrah's Hotel and Casino. You can get tickets for this event at snowtickets.com. That's snowtickets.com, S-N-O tickets.com. But if you want to win two of them today, text the word WAND, as in magic wand, as in wave your wand, W-A-N-D. Text the word WAND to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. 5757. And other good news, I'm going to my first baseball game of the season. I haven't been to a Mariners game yet this season. I just haven't had the time to do it. Out there collecting signatures or got political events or whatever it is. I'm thrilled to be going. I am also thrilled that my wife is coming with me. I don't think my wife has come with me to a baseball game since we were dating. And Kevin, you'll enjoy this. And we came to town and the Mets were actually playing the Mariners 20 some odd years ago. And somebody got us tickets behind home plate to see the Mets beat the Mariners. I still don't remember who won. But I do remember having fun at the game and going, wow, this downtown is so clean. Wow, this area around the stadiums is so nice and so clean. What the hell happened? Anyway, very excited to go tonight. Hey, it might look like that now that Katie Wilson's cleaning up for the World Cup. Somebody asked me, by the way, what happened to Piroshki? Remember the owner of Piroshki used to be on the show all the time when she was running for office?
They're at the stadium.
They are at the stadium. That's right. Their locations are still there, so they are at the stadium. They got other places to go too. So yeah, good timing on that one. And also, I have to check out the pretzels. Sometimes the pretzels are kosher, sometimes they're not. They get different suppliers for the pretzels. Got to check a few other things.
Piroshki is not kosher? Is
definitely
that the deal?
not.
Definitely not.
It looks delicious, but definitely not.
I just figured maybe there was one that was. I know that they've got meat and cheese, but they've got they usually have 6 or 7 different flavors.
No, it's all the cooking they do on site. In fact, there's very few, it seems like a lot, but there's very few stadiums that actually have the full-on kosher hot dog stands and stuff. The first one was actually Baltimore, not New York. You've got Baltimore, New York. You've got Florida. You've got Los Angeles. You've got Chicago. There's a few others. There's a couple random ones.
Is there any place outside of the stadium when you go down when you go
you mean here
when you go down the alley where they've got a bunch of stuff down there?
There was a place, we called it Krispy Kreme.
Oh yeah,
that was my place.
I'm talking about some place where you get a dog or something.
There's no place. We just get the snacks. The packaged stuff is usually good to go, but whatever. Popcorn's usually good to go. Soda's good to go, so we'll be fine with all that. I'll find a drink. I'll go to Edgar's. Okay, if the Mets are losing, you can find me at Edgar's somewhere later in the game, assuming my wife and daughter don't want to go home and I go cry in shame somewhere. So yes, that's where you can find me. I'll be around. Look for the guy in the Mets jersey that says Hoffman on the back of it. I'm pretty easy to spot. The blue Mets jersey. You can find me at the game. Actually, Saul Spady messaged me. He said him and his mom's a big Mets fan, said they're coming to the game tonight. So might see them at the game, which will be nice as well.
Is he going to be crying again? Maybe you guys can cry together after you get...
He's a Seahawks fan and a Mariners fan and all that.
Yeah, I know. That's
only if the Mariners lose.
Well, that's why I'm saying he's going to cry again.
Oh,
I guess
see.
If he's crying, then that's not good.
That's not good for you.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a high stakes game tonight, right? No. It's really, really not. Meanwhile, this one from Como News: an elderly Kent man and his dog reunited with a stolen 3-wheeled bicycle after a Kent police sergeant tracked down the missing ride and pedaled it back to its owner. The theft happened last week outside a downtown business where a man had parked his distinctive bike. Witnesses report seeing a suspect riding it away and called 911. Luckily, photos were available from nearby businesses. As if that wasn't troubling enough, the victim's dog, Old Man with 2 N's, was riding in a carrier attached to the back of the bike. According to the Kent Police Department, Sergeant Lorette responded to the call, quickly sent photos of the suspect bicycle and dog to patrol officers. After driving the victim home, the sergeant received a tip about the bicycle's possible location near the Regional Justice Center. Sounds like one of our unsheltered neighbors needed a lift to go to a court hearing. When he arrived, he found the 3-wheeler hidden in some bushes. Thankfully, Old Man was still in the carrier and okay. Now, the only problem left was getting the oversized bike back to its owner. With the three-wheeler too large to fit inside a patrol vehicle, he climbed aboard, rode it home with old man along for the trip. He said the suspect was later arrested after committing another crime 2 days later. Investigators positively identified him as the bicycle thief, and he was charged in both cases. See, in Kent, they actually arrest you for things, and then they actually charge you for things. And I don't think they release you like they do here in Seattle. That's good news. Okay, got another one here. This one involves a cat. So, according to the Good News Network, when a Wisconsin state trooper arrived to help a motorist who was stopped on a ramp up to I-90, he never could have imagined his life was about to change. Trooper Brody Schmitz arrived at the driver's side window, heard a disturbing story. The motorist informed him that she had witnessed someone throw kittens out of a moving vehicle. This is over on a Facebook post. Unfortunately, the offending vehicle was not located, but a kitten was found. And the trooper took the kitten with him to a nearby animal shelter and have it cared for while he was at work, but told them he wanted to adopt it. He named the tuxedo kitten Toby and took him home in his arms and or hat. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel wrote that Wisconsin State Patrol did not immediately respond to requests for details. But one person commented on the Facebook post, the cat distribution system works in mysterious ways. Indeed, the comment section was filled with interesting stories of the same sort, including, I rescued a cat out of a car engine down in Detroit last summer, called the police, told them why I was breaking into the vehicle. They showed up to help me. This one here said, I found my fur buddy on duty, dispatched 911 to an aggressive animal. Caller was afraid of cats, so I took the young kitten to patrol with me. After climbing on my shoulder, I knew it was going home with me, wrote another. Fun stories like that. That's really great.
It reminds me of that Steven Seagal movie where he's out for justice.
Oh my God, I forgot.
Beginning of it, a guy throws a puppy in a bag outside, like I think on the freeway or something, and old Steven goes and picks it up and says, God, let me bump into this guy again. At the end of the movie, he does.
And yeah, I forgot
Beats the crap out of him.
I think that's a one and done for me. I don't think I've watched that one repeatedly.
Oh, that's one of his best.
No, Under Siege is one of his best. Yeah.
Under Siege is a real movie.
Yeah.
It's an actual real movie. But if you're just talking about Seagal movies, period.
Out for Justice.
Out for Justice and Marked for Death are pretty great.
Seen the Marked for Death. Yeah. I like Executive Decision where he dies in the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Right.
You know, Steven Seagal dies? What?
Not quite a Steven Seagal movie.
He doesn't get killed by a bad guy, gets sucked out of an airplane.
Yeah.
What fun is that? Saving Kurt Russell. Sorry, 30-year-old spoiler there with that one. With their weird stealth plane to go up to the other plane and okay, that was not a good movie. I mean, we enjoyed it, but it's not a good movie. You got a lot of random people in that. Halle Berry's in that movie. Halle Berry is in that movie in one of her first major movie starring roles. Yes, but I like the Under Siege. I mean, there's two reasons. You know, Tommy Lee Jones and Steven Seagal. You see what I did there? You see what I did there? You see? If you know, you know. I'm not going to explain it to a whole bunch of you over there on the show. If you know, you know. Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Out for Justice.
Oh, they're the same movie. I mean,
where he's doing like a Brooklyn Italian accent. Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's like, what's the difference?
Very violent.
What's the difference between Black Sheep and Tommy Boy? Nothing. It's the same kind of thing. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow with more insane stories, more exciting guests, and of course, more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.